I don't think Shakespeare asked his actors, to have fun with it on the set of Romeo and Hamlet. It's just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, what was that? Hola, my name is Jesus Villareal. I am the writer-director star of Garage Sale Sobre El Rio, and this is Notes on a Short Film. Oh, it's not working. So I gotta shake it? No, it's still not working. Garage Sale Sobre El Rio is a deeply personal film for me. Based on something that kind of sort of happened to me. I held a garage sale a few years ago to raise some money for a trip to Cancun with my buddies, and one of the customers at the garage sale was just a huge dick about the grammatical errors I'd made on the Spanish translations for the flyer. And so I decided to sell him my grandpa's accordion, who had passed away about a week earlier, to get him to stop bitching, and it worked. And I thought, well, this might make a pretty good short film. So I wrote the script, submitted it to a short film screenwriting competition, and out of 10,000 submissions, it was read by a few people, and one of whom worked at A23 and took a chance on me. Gave me $1.5 million to finance the film, and more importantly, gave me full creative control. And then they made a deal with Disney World to distribute the film overseas and on YouTube. So, I just want to give a quick shout out to Disney World and A23 for, again, giving a chance to a small town boy from South Texas with big dreams. Anyway, I don't want to keep blowing smoke up there. You know what? I don't want to make this a free ad for them. So let's go ahead and get started with this opening shot here. The marker's still not working though. Can I get another marker? Oh, let me change to, let's do pink. Why not? So this is the only goof that I made in the film, really. You'll notice that the flyer here is facing away from incoming traffic when it should be facing, toward incoming traffic so more people could see it, get more customers, right? And I could stand here and retroactively say, the character who put it there isn't too bright, so he wouldn't have thought of that. But I'm not going to lie to you, it was just a flat-out brain fart on my part. One thing we didn't mess up on, though, is the color palette of this shot. You'll notice there's a lot of reds, a lot of greens and whites in this shot representing the colors of the Mexican flag. You have the redness here on the lower right on Quique's shirt, representing the redness of the Mexican flag. You have the green grass representing the greenness, sort of symbolizing the greenness of the Mexican flag. And then you have the white clouds and the white sidewalk here, sort of serving as a metaphor for the whiteness of the Mexican flag. So, and this shot here, of course, is juxtaposed with the next shot. There's a lot more shadows, a lot less highlights, unlike the previous shot, right? And of course, you got the blues on Tony's shirt, and then the blue in the sky, representing, of course, the blueness of the American flag. Now, one thing that's been pointed out to me about this shot is what appears to be a boom mic here in the background. That's intentional. That's supposed to be there. It's an object it's an item Tony was selling in the garage sale, and we actually shot a scene in which Tony sells the boom mic to a professional audio recorder played by James Corden, and the scene was great. A lot of laughs, but it sort of slowed the pace down of the film. So you got to kill your darlings sometimes. But we will include it as a deleted scene in the bonus features of the Criterion release. The rest of the sequence is just a montage, which I totally ripped off from the Stairway to Heaven sequence of Sergio Einstein's Battleship Earth Potemkin. If you're going to steal from the best, right? But I do want to give a quick shout out to this actor here, played by Javier Garcia Jr. He was great, full method. He'd walk around set asking me how much certain things cost and if there were any discounts on exercise equipment. And, he wouldn't even respond to his own name. I'd say, Javier, can you please stop haggling me over the price of these dumbbells? I'm trying to pull focus here. And he would say, well, who's Javier? Right? Last time I checked, I'm Hot Garage Sale customer number 1, which is the name of his character in the script. So, it got pretty annoying pretty fast, but obviously it paid off. And I'm not going to question genius. And speaking of genius, here we have this character played by my brother, Jose Villareal. And I just want to say one thing about the accusations of nepotism that have been hurled my way. They're lies, okay? Flat out false. We auditioned over 500,000 actors for the role of hot guy in Laker jersey. And my brother was the best. All right, no question about it. If there were any other performer who gave a better rendition of that character, I would have given him the role. All right, and same thing goes for my nephew here playing the role of Officer Vi. I didn't give him that role because he's my nephew. I gave it to him because he was the best. And by the way, he's getting a considerable amount of Oscar buzz for his performance here in the Best Supporting Actor in the short film category. He's only in the film about 5 seconds, but he steals every single one of those seconds. So it's well deserved. And again, no one else could have done a better job. Now we move on to the first big scene here. And once again, I decided to steal from the best by making this appear to be shot in one continuous take, when in reality it's 57 shots seamlessly edited together. Just like it was expertly done in films like Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu's Birdman, and what's his name, Robert Altman's The Ready Player One. So go back. I would give this scene a rewatch and try to see where the edits were made. It's kind of fun. Not as fun though was working with. I think we run out of ink here. Let's try yellow. That one dried up on me. But yeah, this was good. Not as fun though was working with this guy. We tried to get Diego Luna for the role of Quique, but he was out there shooting season 20 of Narcos, so we had to settle on an old acquaintance of mine. I'd met him, I think, in a theater arts class in high school, so he had some experience. He was available. More importantly, he was cheap, honestly. But you get what you pay for, I guess, because this guy right here was just such a huge diva, always asking what his motivation was, always improvising, which I can't fucking stand, especially when you're working with this kind of material. I don't think Shakespeare asked his actors, to have fun with it on the set of Romeo and Hamlet. So, oh man. Needless to say, we had trouble on set. We had a real sort of Shelley Duvall, Stanley Kubrick, Bruce Willis, Sybil Shepherd dynamic on set. And it kind of worked, though, because the characters are supposed to be frustrated with each other. So we did let our frustrations out on set, So when you see the sort of butting heads in these scenes here, it's not a whole lot of acting that's going on there, to be honest with you. So again, it worked for this piece. I don't think I'd ever work with him again. And here we have the famous shot of the accordion, which I think will go down in history as the greatest prop in all of film. Right up there with the lightsaber in Star Wars and the Ferrari in Back of the Future. The props department made it out of latex and styrofoam, I believe. So I gotta give props to the props department for laughing at that joke every time I said it, but also for just being so resourceful and creative. Now this shot was actually done in one continuous take, with very few edits in between, because I didn't want to interrupt the incredible performance on display here. I actually took a page out of Javier Garcia Jr.'s book and went full method. I had the crew address me as Tony. I spoke with his cadence, moved with his rhythms and mannerisms. And we actually shut down filming for 3 months so that I could lose the 1.5 pounds that I felt were necessary to portray Tony at this point. I felt like after spending a whole morning running a garage sale and not eating anything, at this point in the film, he would have been 1.5 pounds lighter. So I spent those 3 months, eating nothing but tuna and apples, ran 75 miles a day. And I gotta admit, it was tough. I would sneak in a Lunchable or two every now and then, but I'd give myself a finger salad afterwards to make up for it. It was tough work, but you can see it here. My face is just, that's no trick photography, folks. That's no CGI. That's the face of exhaustion. That's the face of commitment. And now we move on to the most talked about sequence of the whole film. I'll be walking along Point Doom, and invariably someone will stop and say to me, they'll say, "Hey, Jesus, the dream sequence of Garage Sale Sobre El Rio is the most terrifying sequence ever committed to 4K." And I stopped them. I say, "Dream sequence? Wait a second. How do you know it was a dream?" And they say, "Huh, you're right. It's never really clear if it's a dream. It doesn't really state that in the film." I never thought about it that way. And I say, the fact that you don't know whether or not it's a dream or not, or whether or not it actually happened or not, that's what makes it scary. Because you don't know. And you always fear what you don't know. And that's why people shit their pants every time they watch this scene. So, next time you stop me along Point Doom, which don't, by the way, I like my privacy. I don't want you to say that the dream sequence is my favorite sequence in the whole film. I want you to say the potential dream sequence. All right, get it right. Although I will say, if you want, I'll give you a little hint as far as my opinion goes. Rewatch the scene and pay close attention to the sound design in the film. You will hear cicadas singing in the background, not crickets. Cicadas do not sing at night. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And here we have the climax of the film, the final showdown between Quique and Tony. And you'll notice here that Tony is wearing a shirt with the colors of the Mexican flag: red, white, green. And I thought that would be a great way to sort of illustrate how Tony at this point has embraced his Mexican roots, how he's realized that selling his grandpa's accordion would be like selling a piece of his past, which is really what the film's about. So once again, I thought by having him wear this, because you always want to show and not tell, right? By having him wear this shirt, that would be a great way of visually underscoring the film's main themes. Another thing that I wanted to do in this scene is have the audience feel just as disoriented as Tony must be feeling here. After having not slept very well, having that dream, or is it, after tossing and turning over questions of his identity and his guilt. He's obviously, he's pretty disoriented right now. And I wanted the audience to feel the same way. And I thought a great way of doing that was by using what we call in the film world the 180-degree rule. Now, what the 180-degree rule is this imaginary line you put on the set, 180 degrees long. And once you establish that line, you do not cross it unless you're trying to do something groundbreaking, right? You gotta know the rules before you can break them. And so we knew that rule and we broke it. And we're not the first to do it. Christian Nolanson has done it in films like Insertion, Tetris, and the war film 1959. But I think we are sort of breaking new ground here because it's a tool that's often used in action films like the ones I've just mentioned, but not really in dramas. And I think it was highly effective. We had reports of people walking out of the theater because they were vomiting, because they were that disoriented during the scene. So, you know, the pioneers get the arrows on their backs, right? Speaking of Christopher Nolanson, one of the most frequently asked questions I get about the film is about its ending. Did Tony sell his grandma's tambourine to Queequeg? And, you know, we don't really spell it out for you at the end of the film. And that's kind of the point, you know, because that's life. Growing up Mexican American, I would constantly grapple with questions like, am I Mexican? Am I American? Am I Mexican? Am I American? What does it mean to be Mexican? What does it mean to be American? And ultimately, I came to the realization that I'm both. And it means whatever you want it to mean. And so the end of this movie is just that. It's up to interpretation. And that's one of the things that I love about this film, and it's one of the things that I love about art. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this piece of art as much as I enjoyed creating it. And that's a wrap, as we say in the biz. Here's your thing back. I'm going to go ahead and take these.